Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Himvar, and I just want to say welcome. This is my weekly update where I talk about mostly the books I've read, as I read a lot of books. I do talk about other things on this channel, sometimes related to history, language, and the history of language, as I am a philology student right now in a postgraduate program. For that, I did want to start off this video thanking my channel members as Humanoid, Monsundo, and Christopher H. If you want to be a channel member, you get all my videos early. That includes my shorts, my book reviews, weekly updates, even though these don't come out. I don't record these that much before they come out. My Wednesday videos, such as this last Wednesday, my video was me reading in modern English, the very, very late Middle English of William Caxton's Aeneas, which is his very poorly received, as far as I'm aware, translation of the Aeneid. So, anyways, stuff like that, right? I want to talk about some books real quick. Just make this short. I finished 4 books, which is average for me. I'm actually recording this a day early because I finished 4 already, and there's no chance I'm going to finish anything else tomorrow. So I probably won't read much either tomorrow because I work. So, but you'll be watching this today after I record. I'm actually recording this on Halloween, so again, a little early, but fear not. I had a great reading week this week. Very enjoyable. Besides the fact that I read William Caxton's preface to the Aeneas again, which I think is really, really telling. I think is a wonderful piece of history. And that's just one of the things that I love so much about language, in particular, that it's just not just tied to the words I'm saying right now, but it's tied to words someone wrote down and spoke hundreds of years ago, or if not thousands of years ago. And so, I mean, like my interest in language is very much tied to literature, hence the philology, and not just the strict linguistic side of things. So, anyways, I digress. I finished Shadows Upon Time by Christopher Rocchio, and I really enjoyed it. My review will be coming out um, a little over a week from now. I just fit it in there somewhere. Maybe I could push it forward and move something else back. It will be coming out before release still. Um, I really enjoyed it. I think it is a triumph almost. Like it just works really well. I mean, sure, it's still exciting. There's still new things that happen, um, but it, it was a great end to the series. I am very happy with it. Some nice stuff going on throughout. It was nice talking to Christopher while I was reading it, and sharing my thoughts. But yeah, very very enjoyable. And I think it is a good series. I don't blanket recommend anything really to my viewers because I don't think that is very effective. If anyone blanket recommends anything to me, for example, there's a good chance they're wrong. I'm not going to enjoy it. So I do really enjoy Sunny Deer, though. I think it gets a lot of stuff right. It is very melodramatic at times at the beginning. Hadrian is very angsty. That's what I expect from him, kind of. He matures a lot throughout the series. And it has very nice plot progression. They're a little long. The books are a little long. I will say, actually, that Shadows Upon Time, even though it is by far the longest, okay, almost 100,000 words longer than Demon and Wine. I asked Christopher, and he edited it down by like 50,000 words too. It is very, very lean. There's not really much of anything in there that feels like it really shouldn't be in there. It all feels like it should be there to finish the story. And what's very interesting about the book actually is that how little it feels like an ending in some ways. Like it feels like the end of the story that Hadrian announces on page 1 of Empire of Silence, but in a lot of ways it really doesn't feel like an ending. Um, not saying we're going to get more in the Sunny universe, but it definitely feels like there is more in the Sunny universe. So, and it's a bit bittersweet at times because I really like the ending. At the same time, I'm disappointed in some ways, but consummatum est. So there you have it. Anyways, I also finished. Speaking of good reads, I also finished Bone Shroud by Andrew D. Meredith, and I really enjoyed this one as well. Um, I gave these both 5 stars on Goodreads, and if you look at my 5-star ratings for this year, there's very, very few. Maybe there's 10, and I've read about 150 novels, so that's not a lot. Again, I don't do star ratings on this channel. I only do Goodreads star rating for how I feel about it, right? If you hover over the 5 stars, it was amazing, right? That's what it says. So I really enjoyed Bone Shroud. It was amazing if you would have it that way. So just a lot happens in this one. The style of it is very interesting, but kind of like it's the same style, of course, as Deathless Beast, but there's just a lot happens. It's very well done. I really like the progression of it. I like the setbacks of it, the worries of the characters, uh, the the hardships they face, right? The injustice and whatnot. I think it works really well. And I'm really much looking forward to Gloves of Eons. I don't know what it is. Whatever book 3 is. Um, but I'll probably get to that next month. Um, so, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I really enjoyed Bone Shroud even more than Deathless Beast. And if you remember, I read Deathless Beast twice, so I don't think I'll read Bone Shroud again though right now. Anyways, the other book I finished, another one I finished rather, is Inda by Sherwood Smith. You know, this I was really enjoying it, but my enjoyment of it is really like kind of tempered by the odd sexual stuff that Smith puts in the book. It almost feels like Smith is encouraging teenagers to go out and have sex. Like, to be completely honest, that's what it feels like, right? And you can call me a prude, and I'm not here to moralize and tell you what to do, right? I am obviously not the person in charge of you, but I don't agree with that, actually. I do not agree with teenagers having sex. I realize it's really, really normal. I get it. Okay, it's one thing not to agree with it. It's another thing to think it's completely fine. I think it's another thing entirely to be encouraging it because that is what it feels like. Again, pretty much everyone is a hedonist in these books, and they all go to whorehouses. In fact, they even push their friends kind of to do it at one point. And it's weird, even though he's gay. The friend is gay, and he push this his friend who's a woman pushes a woman on him, a woman prostitute on him. It's really weird. I didn't enjoy that. But the story itself, beyond this weird sexual stuff, which I get the sexual stuff, but it's all tied up in lust. I mean, and I find lust not to be an attractive trait. Okay, um, I just don't, right? And so I think that's weird. I think it's weird. Feels very modern, postmodern, if you will. I don't agree with it. I don't. Sorry. Call me a moralist or I'm being too didactic, but I don't agree with it. Otherwise, the book is okay. I enjoyed it a lot at parts. The characters. My other complaints would be the characters don't have enough unique voice. It is third person omniscient as well, and it often just kind of skips around, and that doesn't work very well. I don't feel like Inda often doesn't even feel like the main character, even though he is the main character. So I think it works well enough. It is a book I enjoyed, definitely, and I would actually like to read book 2. Even with my holdups on book 1. So take that as you will. Again, it's I don't know. I enjoyed it. I have to return it to the library though. The last book I finished was Council of Blades. The Council of Blades, my third book. Yes, my third book by Paul Kidd, or actually, I think it was Ori. Yes, so thank you, Ori, for telling me that Paul Kidd is actually trans and goes by Paulie Kidd now, and I was not aware of that, and I had actually recorded the first 2 reviews for books I had read by Kidd before the first one went up, and so the second one I didn't mention that at all. I think I mentioned it maybe in the description, um, but regardless of that, I didn't really enjoy this, just like I didn't really enjoy those first 2 books I read by Kidd. They're just, I don't know. This one actually was better in some ways than the first 2 books I read by Kidd, but also worse. The first half of this book was really enjoyable. It's really going nowhere as far as like D&D plot wise, and it is a D&D book, it's Forgotten Realms. And the second half of the book really gets into the like, oh, not nation states, city states battling and whatnot, and it's important, and there's a princess and blah blah blah, right? People kill each other and there's betrayal and whatnot. But it's really silly throughout, and it does the second half really doesn't mesh that well with the first half, and I just really didn't care that much for the second half since the conflict itself is a bit silly feeling. Even in fact, there's one point where it feels like it could just end, and there's another 100 pages afterwards because it doesn't end, obviously. So I really actually enjoyed the first half. I think the silliness works better here in this first half than it did in the other 2 books I read by Kidd. Because the other 2 books I read by Kidd, which I think came out after this, the silliness is like all tied into like butt and boob jokes, and it really didn't work for me. Here it's just like a bit more cute, and I think it works a little better. But again, the second half of the book's really not that great. So those are the 4 books I finished. With arc reading and stuff like that, I haven't gotten back to Pillars of the Earth. I am reading Lies Weeping. I'm really not that far into it, but I'd like to get it up, and I have left a spot open for a review for it. So, like to finish Lies Weeping. I did start The Sleeping God. I don't know where my copy is, um, but by Violet Milan, one of the authors I've been meaning to get to for a while, and I'm actually, let's see how far, I'm maybe 150 pages in. I'm actually decently enjoying it. I'm not like loving it, but it is definitely kind of the duo type of fantasy, heroic fantasy, uh, kind of sword and sorcery, epic fantasy mix. Heroic fantasy is probably the best label for it. But definitely being inspired by things like Fought for the Grey Master is very obvious. It's just duo fantasy for you, right? So I am enjoying that. Also, I am reading Shadow Yenja. Shadow Yenga? I think it's Yenja, actually. That E should be making that NG ja sound. Anyways, but I'm not sure. Anyways, it'd be Ganga if it was a GA, I think, but it's a Yenja, I think. Anyways, um, which is a word that actually shows up in Beowulf, and that is kind of what this book is about. This book is seemingly is about Grendel, and it travels backward in time. I'm really not that far into it, but it starts in 2001, and it is by what's the name? Frederick Atkinson. So it is self-published. Came out last month, I believe. When you're watching this, it came out in September, and yeah, what the cool thing I actually found out, how I figured it out actually, is Frederick Atkinson has a podcast that he's been doing. He's only had 2 episodes out on YouTube called Fredemology, and maybe I'll try to link it down below. But um, and I think it is a very enjoyable podcast, talking so far about like early Middle Ages and High Middle Ages and late Middle Ages literature, in English in particular, but not strictly. So. Um, Anyways, so looks okay so far. It's rather short. It's just a novella, about 100 pages, and it's also definitely literary. It's definitely like a literary novel. I believe he has a master's in creative writing. So, and I'm not normally strict for. I do like literary stuff actually. I really like it, especially when it blends with like fantasy stuff. Like Lavi Tidar is more of his sci-fi, I guess, but works really well. And there's other stuff too, of course, but. Anyway, so that's what I'm reading. Again, I have more shorts coming out. Hopefully those work well for everyone. Hopefully, well, not everyone watches them, of course. So it is a practice for me to, especially the 15-second ones, because I love the detail, and it's like impossible to get all the details in 15 seconds. It's not possible. So, um, anyways, hope you're having a good week. Hope you had some good reading. Oh, and I will make a video on this, but just mention here at the end, I had a story come out today. So again, on Halloween, in Swords and Sorcery magazine. I'll make a video on it, but it is free, so I'll try to link it down below, and you can go read it. So, me from Icing. Thanks for watching.